pursued a career in law, earning his law degree from Obafemi Awolowo University and being called to the Nigerian bar in 2007. Apologies. Practice with leading Nigerian law firms, including Olaniwun Ajayi LP and Stillwaters Law Firm, where he developed broad experience in commercial transactions, dispute resolution, intellectual property, and labor and employment law. Driven by a desire to integrate his clinical and legal expertise, Oladele obtained a Master of Laws in Mental Health Law from the University of Sakanshewa. Oladele currently practices as Gerard Pratt Johnson LLP in Regina, Sakanshewa, focusing on civil litigation and labor and employment law. He provides legal advice to nurses across Sakanshewa in employment, regulatory, and union-related matters, bringing a distinctive and practical perspective shaped by first-hand healthcare experience. Beyond practice, Oladele contributes actively to the intersection of medicine and law. He serves as Secretary of the Medicine and Law Committee of the Nigerian Bar Association, section on legal practice, where he supports initiatives aimed at advancing the evolving interface between healthcare and legal systems in Nigeria. An accomplished author and speaker, he has presented papers at local and international conferences, sharing insights drawn from both the legal and health sector. Oladele remains committed to strengthening professional standards, advancing labor protections, and fostering thoughtful dialogue at the intersection of law, health, and public accountability. Without no further ado, we can see that we have the right person. We put the right peg inside the right hole tonight. So to join us in this meeting, I want us to celebrate Mr. Oladele. You can drop your emoji, celebrate him. We welcome you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank
It's a
you.
privilege. So I'm going to be handing over to him now.
Thank you so much. I hope everyone can hear me clearly.
Yes.
Yeah, I had requested for a reschedule of this meeting to a later time. Unfortunately, because of how much time has gone into preparation, that could not be accommodated. It's actually clashing with another program that I have now, but there's no way I can not continue to, honor the house. I'm a member of the house, a proud
Thank
member. Anywhere I go, I always put, no matter the situation, I must put my first qualification, which is RN. On my LinkedIn, it is clearly stated I am a proud registered nurse. So an opportunity to rub minds, share experience is a very good opportunity that I'm not going to take, for granted or take lightly. So, but I will crave the house's indulgence to, maybe if this. I'm just thinking that because of the time, because I have another commitment that is going on at the same time, I may not be able to go in depth. I had prepared a presentation, but I can just summarize or focus on the areas that I think affect most of us more than some other legal issues that we face. If I have the opportunity to come again, if I'm not able to go through everything, I will value it. So I know everyone here has gone through the licensure journey, so I'm not going to really bother us so much about the preliminary legal issues concerning the bottlenecks that internationally trained nurses may encounter through the licensure process and procedure. So I'm not going to focus so much on that. I'm going to just jump into the deep by taking us through some of the legal challenges that we face. But before I do that, I would like to do a comparison with Nigeria. I know everyone here is practicing abroad, but all of us got our training from Nigeria. I got my own training from Obafemi Awolowo University Teaching Hospital, Wesley Gate Hospital, Ilesha and Ile-Ife. So in the course of our I think foundation of nursing, if I remember very well, they took us through certain legal issues those days. So I know some of us are still familiar with professional misconduct, negligence, whether it's going to be gross misconduct, integrity, the duty of care, the standard of care of a nurse, and all those issues. Those are the issues that can lead us into trouble.
Mm.
However, in Nigeria, because of how peculiar our country is, most of these issues don't really come to the surface. So that's why, like, even before I became a registered nurse, you will see people talk about, oh, I went to the hospital, the nurses ignored me, they shouted on me. There's this cliche that nurses are known for. They are harsh, some of them are rude, talk to you rudely, and they get away with it because people don't know their rights in Nigeria. And even some of them that know their rights, they don't have the wherewithal to employ a lawyer to fight for them. So many professionals, including doctors, get away with some of this untoward attitude towards professionalism. The ball is entirely different. The game is entirely different in the diaspora in the sense that if you do anything, it's either you get sued by the patient or the patient's family. The hospital can even sue you. Interested people that are not connected to the care can sue. So because of that, all of us need to exercise, you know, um, utmost professionalism in carrying out our our care, the care of patients. So that's like a form of introduction to this issue that people know their rights and they are willing and ready to enforce their rights. So that is a benchmark for us to know that at every point in time, we remain professional. So as a form of introduction, nursing is self-regulated. And by saying it is self-regulated, I mean that, there are some professions that if there's any action, by action, I mean maybe a cause of action, maybe it is something supposed to be instituted against someone for punishment. Maybe they go to court or maybe they go to another body. But for nursing and from some other professions like even law, medicine, they are self-regulated in the sense that there's a disciplinary body that even if a nurse is going to be, disciplined for maybe misconduct or incompetence or negligence, it goes to the disciplinary body of the nursing council. So for each country, in Canada, for instance, we have the colleges of nursing. Each province has their own college of nursing in Canada, and each of the provinces they have this disciplinary committee that is responsible for discipline of nurses. That's on the one side. I don't really know so much about the UK or US or Australia, but I think it is almost the same thing. But I know so well that in Nigeria too, the nursing council has a disciplinary body. So that's how you know that a body is self-regulated. And in law, we usually say something when a matter is taken to the court, you want to ask what is the standard of review? By standard of review, I mean what is the benchmark with which the adjudicator is going to appraise whether the person committed the offense or the act, whether the person should be punished or whether the person should be set free and acquitted or discharged, as the case may be, if he has a criminal undertone. So the benchmark here is difference. Difference with a DEFFERENC, in the sense that there's the body of law recognizes that when nurses come together and form disciplinary committee, they know that they are the experts in that profession, as against when you become, you call an engineer to come and preside over the discipline of a nurse. The engineer doesn't know anything about,
Yes.
duty of care and nursing care and all those things. So nurses are the experts that know when a reasonable nurse should behave in a particular way. So because of that expertise, the courts actually respect any decision made by the body of the disciplinary body. But that decision can be challenged by judicial review. Then that's when it goes to court. So the starting point is the disciplinary body. Then if the nurse or the affected person, maybe the hospital, maybe the union, if they are not satisfied, they can apply for judicial review. So that's like the body, that's like the when a legal action comes, that is the body that I want us to all know that is responsible for adjudication. But there are certain instances where matters can be taken to court directly, especially if a patient feels, you know, um, um, I don't know the best expression to use. If a patient is really, really affected and wants to assert their right, they can go straight to the court. But when it comes to issue of professionalism of a nurse or the body as a whole, the disciplinary committee is the first point of contact. So I want us to understand the distinction between access to justice through the court and access to the disciplinary committee of the body based on maybe misconduct, negligence, or integrity issues. So, like I said before, I'm not going to dwell so much on issues that don't occur predominantly. So, in my own practice, yeah, I work in a law firm and we represent union. But I believe everybody is a member of the union in our respective countries. That's that's a level of protection that we as nurses have because union would serve as a body to protect our interests collectively through the collective agreements that individual nurse has signed at the time we all got our contract of employment, whether with the hospital, whether it's a private sector, we most of us belong to the union. So that's the first level of protection that we have. I'm going to talk about after I identify some of the challenges we have, I'm going to talk about protection that we have that we can use as a kind of sorry, one second, a kind of guarantee that okay, we are not there all alone, uncovered or protected. But that's the last thing I'm going to be talking about. I don't have, unfortunately, I don't have the slide. Like I mentioned, I don't have the slide that I had prepared because of certain of this. And again, I'm in a makeshift room that they just created for me just for the purpose of this. So I don't even have a table. That's why maybe the view is a bit not too okay. I'm using a chair as my table, So I don't have my laptop and I only have a small laptop. I don't have the big screen that I prefer when I'm doing this kind of presentation. So let's go into the business. Sorry, how long do I have?
You have 30 minutes. So you
Okay.
spent like 12 minutes now.
Whoa, so I have like 20 something minutes left. Okay, do we have the second speaker around?
No, you can go ahead.
Okay.
You can go ahead,
So
yes.
yeah, so like I said, when it comes to nursing interface with the public, there's something that is very sacrosanct, and it's the fact that the public must be protected. The image of the profession must be protected because as we are treating our patients, people are watching. The doctors are watching, the other healthcare profession now, healthcare profession personnel, they are all watching. As we are watching us, as we are watching them, they are also watching us. So in totality, the integrity of the profession must be protected at every point in time. That is why some of the nursing bodies, colleges, or council, they have code of conduct and they have rules, they have standards that they have set. So it is these codes and these standards that regulate how nurses behave. If a nurse breaches the code, it may be open to maybe misconduct or negligence or incompetence, and there are ranges to this. If the misconduct is too heavy, it becomes gross misconduct. So we have, as punishment, it ranges from warning to revocation of license. And this is where it gets interesting. So this is the area I want to focus on today because of the time that I have. It gets interesting because it is very easy and very common for licenses to be revoked. It is rare in Nigeria, from my understanding, because before I did this, I did some research about Nigeria. It is not common in Nigeria for you to hear, oh, someone did something and the license was revoked. It happens, but it is not common.
Yeah.
But in abroad, in Canada, that I can speak confidently about Canada because that's where I practice. It is very common. It is very, very common. In fact, I'm representing someone currently in Saskatchewan. The name is not Saskatchewan, the way you spell this is Saskatchewan.
Just accept me like that.
Yeah. So I'm representing someone currently who was a LPN and was supposed to be doing the continuous assessment of certain stuff. I believe in all the jurisdictions that we all are, we know about the continuous education. So in Canada, there are certain courses that must be taken every year to maintain our license. If those courses are not taken, then your license you can practice, but you'll be in trouble because the regulators check. So the person I'm currently um, representing, she's from the Philippines. She was licensed like 2 years ago, so she's new to the profession in Canada. She was a LPN before. She now became, a registered nurse, and she did certain stuff that were not covered by her license because she had not done those courses. So my phone dropped.
Awesome.
So because she had not done, eh, sorry, like I said, it's a makeshift arrangement here. Trying to set it so that okay, I think we can manage it that way. So she set catheter. For you to set catheter, you must continue. You must have certain courses that you will take. They listed certain things that she did. The union wrote, the hospital wrote her, and they copied the union. They copied the College of Nursing. Now investigation was commenced. Now that's the stage we are in right now. We're trying to write a letter to the college to explain why she did not know, because there are defenses we can put up for her because she's new, she's a new nurse. She did not know that she's supposed to be taking continuous courses and all those things. So, like I only mentioned this to say that the hospital can go against us because they are watching. The
Mm.
union can go against because they have the integrity of the protection of the profession is higher than each individual nurse.
Mm.
So anything, even though the union is supposed to be the first level of protection, at times they're also watching. They can report. So let's talk about these issues that deal with the College of Nursing or the Nursing Council or the Nursing Association, as the case may be in any jurisdiction, and the exposures that nurses can have with them. So we have uh, professional misconduct, negligence, and integrity issues. When all these matters come up, they go to the nursing council or the college of nursing. So let's look at professional misconduct. Professional misconduct is concerned with fitness to practice and the protection of the public rather than compensation for harm. So even though a nurse does something and there's no harm to the patient, I'm going to review some cases I was involved with and some of the other cases that I just summarized for the sake of this presentation. So even if you set catheter and without the appropriate training to set catheter and nothing happened to the patient. So you can argue that I was only doing it to help the patient, it's my job, blah blah blah, and there was no harm to the patient. So if in Nigeria we say what did they do on well here because of the protection that and the integrity of the profession, the fact that there's no harm to the patient is immaterial. You can still be liable for professional misconduct. So the emphasis here is that the nursing body must be positioned to determine acceptable standards. And when those standards are breached in the interest of the public, the nurse may be liable. Number two is professional negligence. This attaches to competence in a bit. And the reason why I said that is, before someone can be negligent, they must be competent first to do certain things. So all of us by our training, we're already competent. But regardless, someone that has all the basic training and everything can still be incompetent at their job. And what is the standard of, competence? It is what a reasonable person who has the same, sorry, I dropped again. Yeah. So negligence and competence are kind of related in a bit, in the sense that negligence deals with what would, if five nurses are together, they all have the same training. How would they maybe dispense drugs? How would they dress wounds? I don't know whether in all the jurisdictions that we have here, whether nurses dress wounds. But let's use Nigeria standard. We know we all dress wounds. If five of those nurses are dressing this wound, what is this standard of care they're going to be deploy in dressing that wound? So that is the benchmark upon which negligence is measured. So if one out of those nurses now applies a lower standard in caring for the patient, he may be liable for negligence in carrying out that conduct. And one of the ways through which negligence is determined is to know whether the duty and standard of care that the nurses owe their patient, whether they are falling below the standard of care. So another issue that can expose us to legal challenges is communication between nurses and communication to the physician. Communication includes handing over from one shift to another. It includes escalating issues to physicians when maybe a patient has presented with complications and we are the ones in charge at the particular point in time. Are we able to escalate the matter to the physician so that the care of the patient and the health of the patient is not is not in jeopardy? If that is not done, the nurse may have legal issues. Communication is very key in that regard. The next one is documentation. Documentation and communication, they are kind of similar in the sense that in the course, everything that we do, I don't know the when I was in nursing school, we used to have a nursing care plan, and we used to have the records of. I've not practiced in over 20 years, so I may not really be
The
conversant with
progress
all
notes.
those
Mm.
all those notes that must be documented. It is very important for us to document everything, not only medication, not only if your patient tells you something and you think that maybe it goes beyond a personal private communication, you must document it. If, for instance, if a patient says, "Oh, I'm going to kill somebody when I'm discharged," you must document it. If a patient says, "Oh, I hate my mom, I hate my dad, I will run away," you must document it, because nurses can be subpoenaed to come and testify if someone has committed a crime. And these are the things, records that they we rely on. So it's not only the care of the patient that we must document. That is a given. We must document. But every other thing that you think, I don't know whether it's everybody that understands Yoruba. I want to speak Yoruba, but I will translate it. Ondele, ondejo. That means
Mm.
something that you know that in the on the long run, if it happens and they say, the client to be the patient told you this, why didn't you report it? Why didn't you document it? Wahala, you start. So
Mm.
those things must be documented. And after documentation, communication of that thing during handing over of shift is very important, because at times they may be overlooked. If, for instance, someone says, I committed, maybe the patient is in the hospital and is being treated for certain stuff, and he says, "Oh, there was armed robbery 2 weeks ago. I was part of the people that," you have to document it. And when you're handing over to the next shift, you need to especially point their attention to it so that they can follow up and escalate the matter to the authority. If because I'm going to look at some cases, but I'm going to focus most of the cases on care and integrity issues. I'm going to just summarize those cases. Documentation, we cannot overemphasize it. In fact, my wife is also a registered nurse. There was a case I was doing, I had to call her immediately. Please, anything you are doing, document. Because it was really, really big in the office. We had to call a meeting, and documentation was what was going to send someone to jail, a nurse.
Mm.
So we have to be very careful. What are the legal protection? I'm rushing this. If we if the organizers can have another go so that we can be more detailed, I will appreciate it. What are the legal protections? We have the union, like I mentioned before. The union is there to always represent us. Then we have lawyers. That's where we come in, because at times the union may not properly represent the nurse, and the nurse feels there's something we call duty of fair representation, DFR, that the union did not properly represent me. The nurse can sue the union, the law can sue the hospital, and the law can also proceed against, the all legal interest that they may, and all legal claims and legal interest they think they can, substantiate. So those are the legal protections. So I have done a brief summary of some cases that I think we can learn from. So I'll be talking about some cases. There's a 2023 case. It's Kelsey Bosch. All these cases are Canada-based cases. So this nurse, she was in day shift, and she was responsible for a pediatric patient in an emergency department. And the patient ingested infant liquid acetaminophen. And after this ingestion, the patient required antidotal IV medication, NAC, administered via smart pump. The college, this was a professional misconduct case. So, like I said before, professional misconduct, negligence, and integrity issues, they may come together. The same set of actions can, lead to several causes of action. By causes of action, I mean it can be gross misconduct, it can be misconduct, it can be negligence, so they come hand in hand. So this nurse, someone was rushed to the emergency unit. She failed to assess and monitor the patient thoroughly. She failed to review and assess the medication and administration record and the doctor's notes. She failed to recognize the smart pump that was in that, I don't know. This smart pump, when I was doing my own nursing, we did not use anything smart pump, but I know all of you would understand what is meant by smart pump. So the nurse refused to monitor the smart pump to check whether it was discharging a correct dose or wrong dose. Patient died and she was sued. And the issue was whether her license should be revoked or she should just be merely punished. Her license was revoked because they said her conduct fell below the standard of care that is expected of a nurse. So, like I said, this kind of thing, if it happened in Nigeria, they will say, I'm alone. It's God that gives life, it's God that takes life. Please, sorry. In the diaspora, it is not like that. So, in the dish, when a prescription is given, the lesson to be learned from it, when a prescription is given, ascertain that this prescription is correct, confirm, and you can. There's not in law. We used to say it is better to overplead than underplead. That means when you are drafting your claim report or your statement of claim, put everything there. I apply that to nursing. It's better to double check and triple check than to say, oh, if I had known, I should have checked. That's the first case. Her license was revoked. Another case happened in 2023, similar to this one. But in this case, the patient did not die. It was the same liquid acetaminophen that was ingested. And for this nurse, her name is Christine, the alleged professional incompetence and professional misconduct based on failures in assessment and monitoring and failures connected to medication administration safeguards. In this case, the patient did not die. So maybe that was why there was this different outcome because her license was suspended for I think 6 weeks. Then for all cases of professional misconduct or negligence, any case that goes to the disciplinary committee, the nurse will be the one that pay the cost. And usually the cost ranges from $3,000 to $25,000. So if by the time, and most of the time when the decision is made, they usually allow the nurse, if the license is not revoked, they usually allow the nurse to pay it over a 4-year period. But $25,000 is a lot of money to be taken from your salary, plus all the bills that are jumping at everyone. So in this case, because maybe it did not lead to death, our license was not revoked. The third one was a more serious combination of professional incompetence and professional misconduct. So this nurse, she had 3 different people that reported. One patient had sepsis, one was going through hemodialysis, and one had chronic pain. So the one with the chronic pain, I think there was a mini operation that was done, and the pain was unbearable. And the patient kept complaining, and the nurse ignored that, oh, yeah, is normal, it's a normal procedure, it's normal for you to feel pain. She ignored. One of the patients, the one with hemodialysis, they kept complaining. The wife kept complaining. The nurse ignored. The patient with hemodialysis died after 5 weeks.
Mm.
So all these three issues were now brought against her. Serious wahala. During the hearing of the case, she said, oh, she said, oh, she acknowledged her guilt, and she was looking for maybe leniency because those are the issues, some of the issues that will be considered. I'm not going to. If time had permitted, I would have gone through some of the factors that they consider in administrative hearings of this nature. Okay, let me quickly run through the factors that they consider that may either aggravate or determine whether the punishment or the discipline will be lenient. So the first one is the nature and gravity of the allegation. Two is the age and experience of the offender. Previous character of the physician or the nurse, and in particular, the presence or absence of any prior complaints or convictions. Four, the age and mental condition of the offending patient. Five, the number of times the offense was proven to have occurred. And like this woman's case, she had 3 instances against her. Six, whether the offending physician or nurse had already suffered other serious financial or other penalties as a result of the allegations having been made. The next one is impact of the incident on the offending patient. Like I said, if there is harm, it doesn't matter. But if there's no harm, it doesn't matter. But if there's substantial harm or death, the penalty may also be grave against the nurse or the healthcare practitioner. The need to promote specific and general deterrence and thereby to protect the public and to ensure the safe and proper practice of medicine. They need to maintain the public's confidence in the integrity of the medical profession and the nursing profession and the range of sentence in similar cases. So for this nurse, her license was also revoked because they said she had shown a consistent pattern of gross negligence and gross misconduct. So the next case, one Indian that just came to Canada, and I think out of all the cases, this is the most recent. It was in 2025. But this case did not involve patient care. And like I said, integrity of the profession is also very sacrosanct. This one involves forgery. So he got a report from some of the employers. And this was a travel nurse. And we all know how much travel nurses, earn. So in one of the places this nurse had gone to, there was a report of incompetence against him. This was a guy. So when he was going for his next um, assignment, his next I don't know the right word to use, whether it's assignment, it was being transferred to the next place for his travel assignment. So the report from the previous place he had worked, he's supposed to take it to the new place. So in taking that report, he removed all the negative comments and put, oh, the nurse is very good, very caring, very diligent. He put all those things. It was found out later that he had falsified that record. This now goes to integrity. That is, can we trust if a nurse doesn't have integrity? Can we trust you with human lives? So, but in this case, his license was revoked for 6 months, and they told him to undertake some courses so that, especially on integrity. Another case of 2024 was a penalty decision following a professional misconduct. It's similar to the last one I mentioned. This nurse also, he authored an unfavorable letter. This letter this time around was written by the registrar of the College of Nursing. So it's a letter from the regulator, which bears weight. So a letter from the regulator, the regulator has a record for it. He has a copy, but he forged it. And like I read earlier, what are the factors that the body will consider as mitigating factors? So in this person's situation, the college considered the mitigating factors, including the educational courses and trainings they are taking between the time of the complaint and the hearing date. So they had told me, after the complaint was filed against him, they had told him to take certain courses on integrity and all. So he had taken those courses. So they consider that in saying, oh yeah, he's showing good conduct, he's showing good behavior. Regardless, his license was suspended for 1 year. So, you can see the trend that this thing is taking. Final revocation, suspension for 1 year, suspension for 6 months. In situations that are not as grave as this, license can be suspended for a couple of weeks. The one I did before the current one I'm doing, the license was suspended for just 2 weeks. But that one was just a mere issue of not taking some courses that she should have taken. The next case, I have two more cases. Okay, sorry, I can skip that. This next one is similar to the one I just mentioned. The last one is the biggest one because it included fraud. The nurse was the president of the union. Union is very common in Canada. I believe it's common in other place. So this nurse was the president of the union, and the union had money with her. I think $14,000 or no, $21,000. She spent the money without accounting for it. And when she was asked for, oh, where's the money of the union that we kept with you? There was no explanation that she could come forward with. So she was taken for gross misconduct and criminal fraud. A license was not revoked, irrespective of the fact that it included crime. It has elements of crime in it. But she was fined $25,000. She paid the cost of the hearing, which was another $25,000, which was $50,000. She paid another additional cost of $5,000. So the total amount that she was billed to pay was $55,000. And her license was also suspended for 2 years. So after 2 years, they now told her, okay, if she was supposed to go through certain training and certain courses, at the completion of which a license will be reinstated, but she can never be in a leadership position anymore. She can never be in custody of property or money. That was the final decision that was taken against the nurse. So from this little exposition, we can see that one thing is very common. One, the interest of the public is very important. The nursing profession is very interested in protecting that image. So even if they have to sacrifice one of their number, they will not hesitate to do that because nurses, there are nurses that are being trained as we speak. New nurses are being born, new nurses are being trained. The children of today, in the next 20-something years, they will be the nurses in the future. So that's the reason why the profession is duty bound to make sure that the integrity of the profession as a whole is kept intact and so that the public interest will be protected. This is like a microcosm of some of the issues that nurses can face, legal challenges that nurses can face. So at this stage, I'm going to drop the pen and maybe if there are questions later, I will be glad to answer them.
Wow. Wow. This is actually a very great exposition. I want us to celebrate him. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I know I've learned a lot, and I know our people have also learned a lot. At least because of the time constraints, we want to make use of the time that we have. I don't know. Are you still able to take some questions before you leave, sir?
Yes, I can take one or two questions there.
Okay. Okay. If we have question, we can just raise up our hands so that we can quickly do that now rather than typing it. If there's anyone with a question. So I have one question with me here. And it says, how can international nurses protect themselves legally while still maintaining positive relationships with their employers? You know that
Okay,
mindset of where we came from, that when you go to court with your siblings, you cannot be friends again. So
that's a very good question. Like I said, the union. Can I understand which country the person is that is asking the question from? Do they
UK,
have unions there? Do they do
yes,
the
yes,
people? Is the union very strong?
yes.
Okay, so I can answer, applying my experience in Canada. Unions are the ones that will take the hospitals to court first.
Mm,
So, and the reason why you at the time of entering your employment, you already signed a collective bargaining agreement, which entitles the union to represent you. So, for instance, if a nurse is being sued, it is the union that will represent the nurse. And if a nurse has a complaint against the employer through the collective agreement that already has with the union is the one that will sue the employer. So they will not, the nurse will just be the griever or the complainant, but the face of the nurse is protected because she's not the one individually fighting the employer. And there's something they even when investigations are being conducted, we usually put something there that make sure that you do not victimize this nurse because she has reported. So because of the fact that it is the union that is fighting the employer, then the law most of the time the nurse is not seen or singled out. However,
mm,
where there's no union and the employer is going to be the nurse want to sue the employer, you know, it depends on it would largely depend on the cause of action that is the employer, whether it's wrongful dismissal. If someone has been dismissed already, then you can go to any length, fight the employer, and after there are two um, um, relief. Most of the time is whether the person will be reinstated or damages will be paid. And if the nurse is able to show that if I get reinstated, they will victimize me. Then there will be a request to the judge that please, I need damages in place of reinstatement so that
mm.
victimization will not continue. I hope I've been able to somehow answer that
Yes,
question.
yes, yes. That's profound. Thank you. So there's another question on the chat box. It says, thank you for your presentation. Please, what's your advice for a nurse who wants to go into law, focusing on fighting for professional licenses? Which is the best route the nurse can take?
Can you please explain the context of fighting for professional licenses? What does that mean?
Okay, I think this person is just trying to say she wants to focus on nurses that are having issues, at least to help them protect their licenses, to fight for their
No.
causes.
So, like I said, that is not the work of an individual lawyer to
Hmm.
do because you already have a union
You know.
that is going to fight for you. It is only when the union does not, you know, adequately fight that you can now sue for um, breach of duty of fair representation. But okay, for instance, now if a nurse has issues like most of my clients currently, some of them have issues with their license. It is their union that is briefing me, not the nurses directly. So that's their first call, their first point of contact. They go to the union, except they don't have union. So let's now talk about, okay, you want to fight for nurses that don't belong to union and have issues with their licenses. Then fine, they come to you, you go to law school, that's the first step. Become a lawyer, get your license as a lawyer, and just advertise. Lawyers cannot advertise. In the olden days, there was this prescription against advertisement, but lawyers can now go on their website, put their competence there, and there's area of practice. Then we can take it from there. I hope
Okay.
that answer
So
was
yeah,
satisfactory.
with what you said now, I think what I was able to get is that okay, you can go practice law, then when you are done, you specialize in that area. That's what you're focusing on.
Yeah. So when you're practicing, you can just say, okay, this is my area of
This is your area
specialization.
of
Put it on your
yes.
website and do maybe on LinkedIn, advertise them. People with issue with their licenses can come. But
Then can come to
most of
you.
the people that the caveat here is most of the people that will come are the ones that don't have union, that don't belong to unions.
Mm, mm, mm,
And it is very rare to see nurses that don't belong to unions. So that area of practice is lucrative. However, that's a challenge.
mm. Okay. Okay. I have another question here. If there's no other question also from the audience. So it says, what red flags should nurses look out for before signing contracts or agency agreements?
Hmm, that's a very good one. There are certain clauses in the employment contract that are very important. Confidentiality is very, very important. But this question, agency agreement, I've not practiced nursing in a long time, so I don't know the way agency agreement works. But if what I'm really, familiar with is contract of employment with maybe SHA, with the government hospital or with maybe individual um, private establishment. But if agency agreement means okay, the way I think I understand it, there's a body that maybe we now, employ nurses on behalf of an establishment, whether public or private sector. Is that interpretation correct?
Yeah, you're right.
So, from our own context, if the immigration documents are not contingent, or the person's immigration is not contingent on the contract, the first thing you can look at other issues. Like I was going to start talking about confidentiality, liability, dispute resolution. Those clauses are very important. But if, from what I have been gathering over the years, if your immigration status is going to be contingent on that contract, then you should be looking at whether you have um, um, this clause that they usually put that you cannot get employment from a related body.
Hmm.
So, and if they put such clause and your immigration status is tied to that employment, and they say for anything happens in the future, maybe termination or there's a fallout, and you are unable to get employment with another agency, that becomes a red flag. So you should be looking at those clauses that because not even husband and wife, they fight, they divorce.
Yeah.
Employer can terminate you. No one should enter into a contract that will bind them for more than 5 years. At the end of that contract, if you enter into a contract that says when it expires, you cannot seek, maybe there's another agency that is similar, that is maybe a rival to the current one. And this contract now says you cannot get employment from that agency. You flag it. And there's nothing like this contract is tailor-made, you must sign. Every contract
Hmm.
must be negotiated. when you, if even if possible, I don't know people's disposition to having lawyers look for at their contract on their behalf. Get a lawyer, pay limited retainer. Please let me examine this contract. Maybe pay £200, $300, because lawyers' fee here is an average of $300 to $500 per hour. A lawyer will review your contract under 1 hour. So just sacrifice that $300 of £200 to have rest of mind. Let lawyers look, especially lawyers that deal with employment issues.
Issue.
Because we know we have employment issues, we have labor issues. Those are two different things. Labor is in relation to the union, while employment is individual employment with the employer. So get an employment lawyer to look at the contract for pitfalls and loopholes.
Oh, that was apt. Thank you so much, sir. Any other question? Any other question so that we can release our speaker? Okay, sir, we'll be happy to have your slides if you want to share it with us. Yes, we can have it also. Then another thing I just want you to do before you leave is just to give us with your experience and the things you've seen around nursing and the issues they've been having, nurses and the issues they've been having. Give us your final advice to international nurses who are in diaspora at the moment. Okay, I think we can hear you.
Okay,
And
you were
I would not
saying,
even say only in diaspora, even in Nigeria now. Because people are
hmm,
suing hospitals in Nigeria and they are winning cases now.
yeah, yeah. My final thought is going to be very simple. Know your rights. Nurses must know their rights. Okay, if I'm able to say this, I'll say it quickly. One of the reasons why I decided to go and study law was because of how we were being treated when I was in nursing school. How doctors used to, you know, I know the second speaker is a doctor, you know, how the physicians used to maltreat nurses. I I also had my own personal experience. I think some of the people that were in school with me are in this forum, so they can testify to what I'm saying. I would not have it. I was an advocate. I was a PRO of the student union when I was in Wesley. So I would not have it. We used to go against the CMD. We went to the CMD. We went to fight, not physical fight, to protest, because nurses at that time did not know their rights. But I think the nurses of nowadays are beginning to know their rights. It is by knowing your rights, you will know when your rights are being infringed and when you need to take action. And when you need to take action, please take action. If in the abroad, because of the union, like I said before, union will cover you. But in Nigeria, the fact that the union, presumably maybe the union is not as strong as it is here, like you said, I read about that case where they went against the other and they won. Know your rights and protect your rights. Do not be hesitant to get lawyers. So many people don't want to retain lawyers. Please, it is better to retain a lawyer and fight and win than to say, "Oh, I leave it in the hands of God."
Mm,
We all have a duty to humanity. If an organization is maltreating or infringing on rights and they are not being challenged, they will continue. So, the only way we can stop indiscipline, mismanagement, is to rise up and fight when it is right. So nurses must know their rights. They must fight. They must be, like I said, we all need to be careful. All need to, practice our be professional with utmost professionalism, so that we are not going to be found liable for incompetence or misconduct or issues related to integrity.
mm.
That's my final shot.
Well, thank you so much, sir. So before we release you, going to be inviting Dr. Adeni for the vote of thanks. We really appreciate you, at least, even with your tight schedule. You were able to be a blessing to us today. I've learned a lot, and I know that
Thank
every
you.
other person have learned something or the other tonight. Over to you, sir.
Yeah, Barrister Deniji, we thank you so much for your time and your thoughts. I observe and listen to very interesting cases, real cases, and we really thank you for sharing those thoughts with us. I learned a lot, and I trust attendees to learn a lot, and we really appreciate your time today. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. We
I'm
appreciate you.
going to remain to listen to the second speaker, but I'm going to put up my video and continue my other engagement. Thank you.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. It's a wonderful time together today, and we appreciate our speaker once again. Right now, I'm not sure we have a second speaker on the call. So let's just give ourselves a kind of a interaction. If we can just have like 10 to 15 minutes, if you are willing to share one thing or the other. The second speaker is supposed to undo the aspect of welfare, children, work life, and children welfare. So if there's anyone with question or experience to share with us, I think one of us will benefit from it. You have the floor, you can signify if there's any experience related to child welfareism. How are you able to cope? Have you ever had any issue with taking care of children? The floor is open. Kindly signify, and you can have the floor. Anybody having questions? You might not know. It might not be the speaker, but somebody here is loaded with experience that can help us out in such a situation. Anybody with question or you want to share experience? We are still waiting. All right. Thank you. You have the floor. Folashade Akinyemi on mute.
Good morning from Australia.
Thank you.
Apologies, President has spoken on the second speaker. From what I gleaned from her, a few things. Hopefully someday she will be able to turn it. She was telling me about some things that do result into issues of child welfareism around us. And many things go down to our culture, our communication, our presence. And majorly, she stressed the issues of our presence, especially in our individual children's life. And I want to take it also from that, from what I've heard from people here and there, and while practicing, probably Nigeria, in the United Kingdom, and over here in Australia, We grew up from the culture, the environment where we are all well supported. We have people around us helping us to look after our children, and we wake up in the morning. They could be family members, they could be people we are paying to take up those jobs. And then we wake up in the morning, we get ready for work, and then we just go. That was what we were used to doing. And so one of the things that is giving us conflicting roles, one of those things that are giving us conflicting roles have been sorted. But in the diaspora, where we normally do migrate to, we are forced, in a way, cut off from this. And it could be really very instantaneous. It could be very, very sharp that we are unable to fix things together at that point in time. Then it now starts. In back home too, we are not used to having to, even if we are paying rent, we are not paying this, paying that, paying this, paying that. You are paying your rent, you possibly have dug your well, you have sank your pumping machine, you are getting water. You are not paying water bill. They bring NEPA. NEPA is even annoying you. You don't like the bill they brought. You go to the office, you shout on them, they reduce the bill. Or those who are extra smart that know how to go about things, they do some other things. You are not getting these heavy bills. So when we move abroad, we don't have the big support. We are paying excessively. And sometimes too, the money some of us have not made in Nigeria in practicing 15 years. Now, this is pounds. This is Canadian dollars. This is Australian dollars. This is US dollars. We want to make that money that we have not made in our 20 years of practice in Nigeria. We want to make them. It is now the time to run, to overtake, to take, and to overtake and retake. We want to make that money in 6 months, in 1 year. So we start having these pulls here and there, and then we are jumping out of the house. Our husbands are jumping into the house. We are coming out of the bus. Our husband had left the kids in the house that we will trek for about 15 minutes. 3 or 4 kids that are at the age that they can fight. They are kids, they love themselves, but occasionally, like we two adults, we have conflict. They do have conflict. They can fight before we come in. And so they start fighting. And before we walk 15 minutes down, 5 minutes into our walk, our phone will ring. 111 is calling us, 000 is calling us, 999 is calling us. Some kiddies are fought, they bump their head on the wall, one is bleeding, blah, blah, blah. All these things are the things sometimes that do result in having social people poking noses into our homes, into our lives, and big things will now start coming out from there. So the movement, from what I can say, we step our feet outside Nigeria. I think we need to start knowing what is happening around us. In fact, most of us are old enough to make our decisions, jettisoning the idea that the money you've not made in 20 years, you want to make them within 6 months. Go there that, okay, the way you've been living happily, then you want to live, you want to work, you have a duty of care, like Barrister Dele told us, you have duty of care to your patient. And when you are taking care of your patient, you still don't want to have issues back home. Do your job. 12 hours job in the UK is not child's play, because you have all the gadgets you can use on your patient. You are not allowed to just miss things out. And then go back home happily and spend relaxing times with your family. The habits, if you don't have kids of age that you can live at home and they take care of themselves, please, let's cultivate the habit of not leaving our kids without the care of someone who is of age to look after them. Don't leave 4-year-old child with 2-year-old child and you pamper them, give them TV, give them tab or whatsoever to be playing with, your phone to be playing with, and say, by the time their daddy is coming in the next 20 minutes, by the time it will get here, they will still be on this video. Anything could happen. The other child may even want to look at what the other child is watching, and the fight will start, and big things will start from there. And don't let us think that there are no people that are watching us. In our country, I think it's part of our culture. You can leave your child at home, and the other neighbor heard that something is happening. They will come, they will knock. Shola, what's going on there? Chichi, what are you doing to your brother? And they will pull those kids out and spank their bum bum if they think they are misbehaving. Your neighbors are watching you. Your neighbors are not your blood sisters. Your neighbors are not your immediate family members. If anything goes wrong, because they too would have to give account in a little way, they are not taking care of you. In a little way, they don't even, maybe some of them don't even mean well for you. They are even looking at you that when did this one come to this country with this brown skin and is driving Tesla? And maybe you've had a chat with them 2 or 3 days. Oh, I came last 2 years, and it is the day of skit making now. Maybe you have a channel, and they are seeing you dancing around everywhere on platforms, on Facebook, on Instagram, on everywhere. They are seeing you dancing about, and they have been peeping through your doors to see, okay, that one that is dancing everywhere, she's leaving 2 kids at home, and these kids are shouting. They will call people on you. And once those people are called, because they have the right to protect, then they will step in because that is their job. Those are some of the things I think some people that have had opportunity to talk with, they've had challenges with. Let's learn the culture of the places we had. Let's not be greedy. Money is good, though, but there are people that anytime you open channels of communication with them, next thing you hear is money. I mean, next thing you hear is this cash. For instance, I was still discussing with someone yesterday, can you backfill in a position for me for this morning, blah, blah, blah. And the person, okay, just jump into, oh, I'm going on shift this morning and to this morning. And I need money. I want to buy this. I want to buy that. And I was like, okay, but your people are being paid well, and just relax. Interest rate is going up. House prices will be dropping. And this person was like, is your state? Your state is fine like that. House prices are fine, but they are not well paid. Then this person highlighted the states that are paying well for me. Like, just fill this space for me. And next thing was the issue of these are the budgets of these states in Australia. Jesus Christ. Please, let's tell some things down. When we come in, all these things will start falling in place, and don't let's run another person's race. You see, this person is telling you, I'm making this amount, I'm making that amount. You may not have the grace that that person is making. Take, for instance, all through my times in Nigeria, and our president knows me, I always have people around me looking after my kids. She was, by the grace of God, her own husband, her own wife then, because uncle was outside Nigeria. She was taking care of 3 solid kids, and appreciate God she didn't fail then. Now, it will be very unfair of her to be comparing herself with me in terms of looking after the kids. Because in my house, I had just a kid, and those kids, I had 2 grandmas staying with me. To grandma, that one is very, very agile to run around, do house chores, and the other one is looking after the kids. And I have my younger kids coming in, going out. And there are people who are that endowed too, abroad. Maybe they brought in their kid people here and there. There was a time in the UK, I have 2 other bigger people with me. If I'm doing other shifts, I have the opportunity. But if someone who doesn't have that grace now takes extra shifts, see how they would have possibly failed. So please and please, whatever happens, if we don't want to start having people prying into our homes, into our lives, let's take little shifts that is able to fix our family, that we can still save maybe 100,000 a month, equivalent in Naira, and we don't start comparing ourselves with ourselves, because the Bible even says those doing that, they are not wise. If we try to fix these things, we may be able to run away from having socials coming around to pick a child that are broken arm, that are broken head, and when they came in, they did not see any adult with those kids back at home. And let's be kind to our neighbors. Even if sometimes you greet them, they are frowning. You may never know. One of these days, they may be the one that would say positive things about you to others. But when we come with the idea, oh, is white. They don't even want good for me. Their forefathers came to cut away everything from Africa. They stole our grandfather, they stole our grandmother, and your face is always tight. Smile. We call something plastic smile. Even if it is that plastic smile, give it to everyone. But why won't even your smile be healthy? And another thing, don't let's be absent in our children's school. You don't go to their school when they call for this, when they call for that. They are missing their breakfast. They will report to, let them carry the breakfast, their meal, extra meal to school. You know, we have children that troubles us, not in terms of so much headache like that, but whatever you supply for them to take to school, they are not going to eat those food. You will shout, you will shout, you will jump. Even at home, they are not eating. Still pack the food. Let me say this. I was talking to someone last few days that one of my kids does not eat. She doesn't want to eat African food. She just wants to eat this pizza, eat this and that. I said, I won't pack food. And the big mommy was warning me, please pack food. Because if you don't pack food, the day you will not pack food, those teachers will report you. All the days you've been packing food, even if you've been telling them that this child did not eat, blah, 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 they will not say they did not even support the child to eat. They did not support the child to open their food flask. They would say, you are starving them. And I can bet with you, when you have UK kids, when they are just hungry, they've eaten 2 hours ago, but they are just hungry. They will not tell you, Mommy, I'm hungry. They will just say, Mommy, I'm starving. And that's the language they will use at school. And the teacher will now say, you have been negligent in the care of your child, and they will write no to school. Let's cultivate the habit of not beating our kids. You hit them corporal punishment. And when they are in school too, they want to resist what someone is doing to them that is not right. Bah, bah, bah. They slap the other kid's face. And these kids are kids with white skin that next thing you see is bruises, ecchymosis everywhere. Then they will conclude that's the way you parents are fighting at home. Then they will send someone to start spying on you. There are so many things. I'm not social worker.
Thank
Maybe
you,
at some
thank
point we
you,
may
thank you.
put to bring forward.
We
Thank you,
appreciate
everybody.
you. Thank you so much. I believe we've all learned one thing or the other. I have some take home here, but I just want to give another person the opportunity of sharing with us or raising a question. Probably you have something bugging your mind in relation to the care of your children or how you combine work with child welfare. Anybody like that? All right, Mrs. Akinyemi, we appreciate you so much. And my take home here, number one is that don't look for money at the expense of your child care. Don't take up multiple shifts. Let's try to find time to look for our children. Learn the culture of the place where you are. Don't just jump into things and feel like that's the way we do in my home country. No, here it might not be the same thing. Scale things down. Don't odd things. Don't say I want to buy this, I want to get that. Scale down. Live within your means. Run your own race. Also be kind to your neighbor, and also let's be involved in the schooling of our children. Whatever is going on in the school of our children, let's be involved. Thank you, everyone. Since there's no question and there's no more contribution, and I want to believe this is a good a good note to call it a date. And I believe when else we call on you, you will respond. You will join us on this call. That's brought us. Okay, I have somebody raising up hand now. All right, you have the floor. Olabisi Olatunde.
Oh, I'm sorry. That was an error. Sorry.
Oh, okay. All right. So thank you, everyone. We see you maybe in the next 2 months. Bye-bye.
Yes.
Have a
Thank you.
wonderful weekend.
Bye.
Thank you, Kabiesi. We appreciate your presence. Olabanji Joel. Thank you.